Joined with Vic Sullivan from Wells Fargo Investors or Advisors right here in Albany. Vic, people at home breaking out their statements already from last year, 2012. Pretty good year in the markets. And then we started 2013 off on fire in the markets so far, getting close or at 5-year highs. What should folks do to prepare for 2013 now that they probably opened that statement? They've seen a pretty good return in their investments last year. What do you think's on the docket for this year?
Well, the economy continues to show some improvement. Interest rates are, of course, remaining low. There's a lot of liquidity and an enormous amount of cash on the sideline. And when you have that amount of cash sitting around, and the market continues to do well, at some point it begins to draw it in. And we're starting to see a lot of that. For the first time in just the last few weeks, the net inflows of money in the stock market was actually quite positive for the first time in a while. People have been scared for a long time. So now that money is coming back, and as the economy begins to show some improvement, particularly in housing and manufacturing, it's creating opportunities in a very attractively valued market, which we don't always see.
Right. And like you said, interest rates are low. So folks aren't making much in a CD. They're not making much in money market funds. And I also hear that bonds are not that attractive right now. Is that true?
There's more risk in bonds than most people think, particularly longer term bonds. And for example, if rates are as low as they are, would you say rates are real low, I want to lock up these low returns for as long as I can get them? and so that's what happens when you buy long-term bonds in a market like this. At some point we'll return to a more normal level, and those investors that have locked up today's low rates may regret that. So you need to be very careful, particularly in terms of the length to maturity of the bonds that you have. So just as you're searching for yield, don't get too aggressive.
Okay. And a lot of people jump from job to job these days, and a lot of folks, they may have a 401k at one job, may move to another. What should folks do with that money maybe left over in an old job? Should they put it into an IRA? Should they come to you for advisement and maybe put it into a new source of income?
Well, we help a lot of people with that sort of thing. And most people find that it's much easier to manage their money, and the investment options are much broader in an IRA versus a 401k in general. And so when you have the opportunity to move funds from a limited investment structure, which is a 401k typically would be, into one that gives you a much broader range of options, an IRA, that usually works out quite well, and it makes it, and you can actually put together a more professionally managed and allocated investment portfolio if you use an IRA and do it properly. And so what we do is help people look at where they are now and work with them to help them determine where it is they want to go, what they likely plan to be doing in the next few years in terms of future savings, and we can show people in a very customized way how to get there. And actually along the way let them be able to keep track of, is their plan working? And it really works well. So if you know where you are and you have an idea where you want to go, we can actually help people put together a plan that works rather than just hoping that things work, which is what you see a lot of people do.
Okay, well, we'll be right back. We'll talk more with Vic in just a few moments. Back with more Good Day in your fourth hour right after this. Back with Vic Sullivan, and of course we're talking about investing. It's never too early to invest for retirement, Vic. And you as an advisor, tell us what the overall look is when somebody walks into your office and they say, look, I want to have enough money to keep my, to stay around for a long time and not have to work, retire at a young age or a decent age, and the age of pensions are pretty much have gone by the wayside. Now we're left with whatever you can amass as far as a fortune goes, a nest egg goes for your future throughout your lifetime. So what do you do as an advisor?
Well, the first thing we do is sit down and really get an inventory of where somebody stands now and get a good feel for, ideally, what they would like for down the road. Now, for a lot of people, what they would ideally like does not always match up with reality. But if you are able to kind of come up with a good feeling from working with that client and get a good feel for where it is they would like, what it is they'd like to achieve, if you can kind of have a good idea of what your objective is, and then you have a pretty good eye of where they stand today, you can sort of imagine that it almost becomes mathematical to say, well, to go from point A to point B, you have to do this and that. And for some people, they can do that with very modest returns. Other people, their objectives may be so ambitious that they'll never get there if they stay quite conservative. So what those objectives are really drive what we might recommend. We wouldn't just recommend something randomly. You know, we would look at what they're looking to accomplish, and when we know what they're trying to accomplish, you know, it really drives everything that we might do today and everything that that particular investor may need to do going forward. So we really work with them and customize their situation for their objectives.
Okay, and what about age? A lot of times, folks, they don't start investing in their 401k right as they may be young. They may get hired. They think, oh, I don't have enough money to do this. That it actually can help your taxes if you do put more into your 401k. Is that right?
Oh, it really does. And start early. I mean, again, mathematics, it's on your side. The more time you have, time is your friend with this kind of stuff. But even then, even if you are 50 and you have not even begun really to save, you will still be in a position to accumulate a fair amount if you do it in a real diligent fashion. So, you know, time's on your side, and a 401k is a great way to do it, or any kind of retirement plan where you're sheltered from taxes. Your money can obviously grow faster if you don't have to battle the IRS.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's a great vehicle to use where you can. But as much as anything, the one thing we're running a lot into is simply the fact that people are living longer.
Right.
And if you don't plan for a potential long life, healthcare is keeping us around for a long time these days. If you don't plan for a long life, there's a pretty good chance for a lot of people that they'll run out of funds. And that's a real fear we see with a lot of our older investors. So coming up with a plan and working with it, but monitoring it every step of the way as you live your plan is extremely important.
Okay, well, extremely important. Thanks for coming in this morning. Vic Sullivan with Wells Fargo Advisors right here in Albany. We'll talk with you in the coming days and weeks. Now we're going to go to a break. Sports coming up next. Stay with us.